friends, and welcome to the last day of Holi-Vlog. I realize that pretty much there's been no Holi-Vlog this week, and I apologize for that, but you do get a whopper of a Holi-Vlog on New Year's Eve. So hopefully that'll make up for it. So hi, how are you? How you doing? I hope the week has been kind to you. I hope that you have been having the best week that's available to you. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Jessie. My pronouns are she and they, and this is Mislaid Pages, where I talk about my crafty stuff. Yeah. So what's been going on? 2021 is very nearly over, and by the time this is uploaded, it will be New Year's Eve. I'm filming this ahead of time, just FYI. It's a little bit of video magic, right? In a minute, we're going to talk about all of my works in progress, my WIPs that are going to go from 2021 into 2022. So everything I'm carrying forward, including a couple of pieces that I considered shelved WIPs, and we'll talk about what that means in a minute. And yeah, we're gonna get into it, and we're gonna talk all about it. I know that there's some, I'm not exactly sure what the hashtags are and who all is doing what, but I know a couple of different YouTubers, or at least one or two YouTubers, are doing some like make progress on your WIPs while you watch WIP parades. And so if that's something that you're doing, feel free to do that with this video. I'm pretty sure it's going to be long enough for you to get some decent progress on something. So if you're not stitching, then feel free to have a drink, whatever kind of drink, whether it's water or coffee or something more adult, whatever you prefer, for the time of day that you're watching this. Grab something to drink, grab a snack, grab a stitch, whatever you want to do, and we're going to dig into it in just a second. Before we do that, I want to make sure that I tell you about the last of the observances for the year, mostly just for continuity's sake. Because I was telling you about all the different holidays and observances as we went, and then I sort of dropped off the face of the earth on Monday, and it's been a week. Things have been okay, like physically. Like I haven't felt physically ill, but it's been a funky mental health week, and that's really all I can say. I'm feeling better now, much better now, which is awesome. But it's been kind of a rough week. So let's see. So last video was December 26th. So you know that was Boxing Day, first day of Kwanzaa. It was Winer's Day, even though I didn't know what that was. National Candy Cane Day. Monday, December 27th, was Make Cutout Snowflakes Day, and also National Fruitcake Day. Is that the day where you like take the fruitcake somebody gave you last year and like chuck it at somebody you don't like? National Fruitcake Day. Tuesday, December 28th, was National Call a Friend Day. I chatted with several of my friends on Tuesday, so I guess I fulfilled that one. Also National Playing Card Day. I can get behind that. I enjoy playing different kinds of playing card games. Also Pledge of Allegiance Day, and we're just going to leave that one alone. December 29th, which would have been Wednesday, was TikTok Day. And TikTok, like a clock, goes TikTok. So T-I-C-K, talk, not T-O-C-K, not T-I-K-T-O-K. So not the app that engrosses you for hours and makes you lose massive amounts of time out of your life because you get sucked into the silly videos. Not that one, but like I guess it refers to a clock because it's T-I-C-K, T-O-C-K, TikTok Day. I have no idea what that is. December 30th, which would have been Thursday, so yesterday. Bacon Day. That's another one I can get behind. Bacon Day sounds like a great day to me. And now December 31st, the day that this video is going up, New Year's Eve, obviously, for pretty much everybody. I think that's one of the, now I'm sure that there are varying levels of celebration for New Year's Eve, especially because I know some Asian cultures, I think cultures is the right word, traditions, actually New Year's happens sometime in January for the Western, what is January in the Western calendar. So some Eastern traditions, China especially, because they take off a whole month from about the middle of January to the middle of February for Golden month. May also be Japan. Anyway, I am not familiar enough with it to really try to act like I know anything. But I do know that Chinese New Year happens after the Western New Year, and I think there's a couple of other New Year's celebrations that happen after the changing of the Western calendar year. So, but New Year's Eve for a lot of the world is a thing, and also it's Make Up Your Mind Day. No. I refuse. I haven't made up my mind at all in my life. I'm not going to start now. Actually, obviously, I've made up my mind about several things. It just sometimes is difficult to come to a decision. But anyway, so those are the last of our holidays and observances. Tomorrow is New Year's Day. For me and my family, what that means is that we have a very specific, very traditional dinner, or we have components of dinner that must be eaten together as a family unit on New Year's Day. And I know that this is primarily like a Southern tradition. I don't know that folks up north or out west, or even in the Midwest do this, but and there are, I think last year I talked about like the specific meanings of different things, but in my household and in a lot of Southern households, on New Year's Day, you must, as a group, together sit down and eat black-eyed peas, collard greens, cornbread, and some type of less traditional pork product. So we're talking hog jowl bacon, fatback, all these weird sounding things that Southerners eat. For our particular dinner, we have hog jowl bacon because that's one of the more palatable versions of those like fatty pig meats that I have found over the years. Pork belly would probably actually be fantastic for this, but I don't know that I can get pork belly in any kind of actual quantity around here. So we're having hog jowl bacon, which is bacon, but it's super, super thick. It's a little tough. It's very, very smoked and cured. So they actually, in the local grocery store, the little mom and pop grocery store around the corner from me, they actually don't even refrigerate it. It just sits in the sealed packages out in room temperature. So, but if I remember correctly, the black-eyed peas are for luck, and there's a superstition, not specifically my family's, but there's a superstition in general that I think you want to eat a lot of black-eyed peas because the number of black-eyed peas that you eat indicates how much luck you'll have going into the new year. Collard greens are for money or wealth. Not sure what the cornbread is, or the pork for that matter, but I think they have specific meanings as well. And my particular family's tradition was based off the idea that in order to stay together as a family, we want to have this meal every single New Year's Day, and we want to have it all together on New Year's Day because that's going to help us stay together as a family. So it's a pretty deeply held superstition in my family that if for some reason you miss New Year's dinner, or if you don't eat with the rest of us at New Year's, that the family won't be able to stay together. And I will say that the few times that somebody has not participated fully in the meal, we have lost that person the next year. Which sounds really morbid. I'm not trying to be morbid, but it's just one of those, we have very few traditions in my family, but this was one of the ones that was just like, you absolutely must. So even when I was a little kid and I couldn't stand the idea of a black-eyed pea or a piece of collard greens, I was not forced. I won't say I was forced, but we made deals that one piece of collard greens, like one little leaf, like part of a little leaf, one black-eyed pea, and if I wanted to, I could stuff it all in my cornbread and just eat it as one bite. But I had to eat it with everybody else because it was just part of the whole thing, and the feeling that we could only stay together as a family if we continued to do this every year. So yeah, so I still do it. But now I'm the one that has to cook the meal, and I'm the one that has to convince my husband, who hates mushy things and does not eat most Southern foods, that he has to at least have a bite full of each thing. So yeah, that's our New Year's Day tradition. beyond doing that for dinner, this year I'm actually going to make a pot roast, a beef pot roast for our main meal, and then we'll have all of the standard accoutrement that we have to have on New Year's Day. But other than that, I think I'm hoping it's gonna be a stitchy day. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, especially because my stitchy bug totally took a vacation this whole week, up until Wednesday. But now that I have my stitchy bug back, I want to do lots of fun stitchy things. And I have a new year, new start planned. So, shouldn't say planned. I intend to have a new year, new start. So, okay, 10 minutes in, we haven't started talking stitchy stuff. Let's do it. So, as I mentioned, Sunday? Yes, I think it was Sunday. The last video. As I mentioned in the last video, I have 27 whips. 27 whips. Which, the light is going really in and out. I may have this too bright. Should I? No? Yes, no. Pardon me while I mess with things. It's because I keep moving in and out of frame, I guess. Anyway, I have 27 whips, which I think probably in the larger cross-stitch community is middle of the road. I know some folks that have upwards of 100 or 200. I think Jen Lee had a goal of having 200 and something whips. I can't remember what her goal was. If I ever wave my hand like this, I'm trying to get the camera to focus, so I'm not casting spells on you or anything. But yeah, so some folks have 100, 200 whips. Some folks have 3 or 4. Heike of Stone Cold Coffee Crafts, one of my best friends, she is much more of a monogamous stitcher than I probably ever could be in my life. When I was a monogamous stitcher, I often would stitch for a bit and get tired of it and put it away, and then it'd be a couple of years and then I'd pull it out again. So I found that monogamous stitching has not worked for me in the past. Now that I have given myself the freedom to stitch whatever I feel like stitching whenever I feel like stitching it, not only do I have a lot more whips now, but I stay more consistently interested in stitching. So I'm happy about that. But not everybody needs that. Not everybody needs to switch stuff up. So like Heike, I think for the past year, had a maximum of 10 whips because that's what she's comfortable with. Rachel, I think also has, Rachel Ray on the internet, also has exactly 27 whips, which I thought was hilarious because we do not at all have the same 27 whips, that's for sure. Some of the whips we have are similar or the same, but we have a lot of different stuff going on. I was surprised she didn't have more, honestly. And then I know other folks like Michelle over at Bendy Stitchy. I don't know exactly how many she has, but I think it's 40 or 50 or more. And then, like I said, I've heard tell of other stitchers who have 100 or more than 100. So it's really, it's all about what's comfortable for you and what works for you. This light is really, I'm trying to, okay, so we'll try it. I'm just really like bright. So yeah, it's really all about what works for you. Apparently 27 is a comfortable number for me. It's probably a few more than I would really like to have, but it does give me the ability to have lots of variety. So if I ever get bored with what I'm stitching, I have a lot of other options, and it lets me kind of suit my stitching to whatever mood I'm in. So I like having multiple whips. I don't know, excuse me, I don't know what the exact right number is for me. There is no perfect number for everybody because everybody likes different stuff. But 27 is okay. So pretty much my goal from year to year is to try not to increase that number too much. Because what I would really like to do, and I mostly did this last year, I'd like to do this every year going forward, is to try not to start too many more projects than I finish during a year. That doesn't mean that I have to start and finish the same project within a year, but I would like to not, like, for instance, I have 27 whips now. I don't want to add 30 more and finish nothing. I don't want to just continuously increase my total number of projects. I would hopefully like to cycle things out. So I don't do a 1-for-1, like I finish, now I can start a new one, but hopefully by the end of the year, I will accrue enough finishes that it equals out to about the same number of projects that I started. And this year, I don't count Season of Smalls because that was 10 starts, 10 finishes. That's pretty much a wash for everything else. But I think I finished 6 other pieces this year as of when I'm recording this. I finished 6 pieces this year, and I started probably 10, 9 or 10. Because I think I had 24 WIPs going into the year. Now I have 27. So math, whatever that math turns out to be. So shall we talk about the actual WIPs? I'm going to go as much as possible in chronological order. So you're going to see my WIPs in the order that I started them. I'm very happy to say that I only have one. I have 2 pieces. Yeah, I have 2 WIPs that I started before 2020. So pretty much everything you're going to see today was started last year, this year, and I'm very happy about that. I would like as much as possible to finish everything that's older than 2020 by the end of 2022. If I can, I'd like to finish everything I started in 2020, but I think that's too big a goal. I have a lot of large pieces that I started last year. So we'll see how it goes. So this is my very first, or I shouldn't say my very first, it's not my very first cross stitch piece. This is my very oldest WIP. So this is my oldest work in progress. I started this, I've estimated sometime in 2005. I do know that I was living in my old house, and I'm pretty sure I was married to my old husband, the one that I'm very happy to not be married to now. When I started this, I bought this as a cross stitch kit from Bucilla, B-U-C-I-L-L-A. So it was an entire, a full kit with the flosses pre-measured, and the fabric, which is I think 14 count Aida. It came with all of this. The scroll frame is mine. That's an artisan design scroll frame. But everything else came in the kit. I am gonna be making a couple of adjustments, or I may have already made adjustments. Let me look. Yes, I already did. So instead of these clouds were meant to be just straight up white, I actually substituted in some white etoile. So, oh, there you go. You can see it just a little bit. It's got a little bit of sparkle. So those clouds are a little sparkly, and I'm going to continue to do that around the piece. So this, like I said, I've been working on it since 2005. What was I trying to say? Lost my train of thought. It just went right off the rails. I bought this as a kit for a friend who is very much into sun and moon motifs, celestial motifs. I bought this to finish as a pillow for her. Thankfully, we are still very close friends. Because this is more than 15 years old, so it might be nice to finish it before her daughter has kids, maybe. Which hopefully will still be a little while. Her daughter is 22 now. Her daughter was 3 when I first met her, so that's how long we've known each other. We've known each other an entire adult's life. But yeah, so we're still friends. I still plan on finishing this for her. I would love, love, love if I could finish it this year and actually gift it to her before the end of the year. I think the only way I could accomplish that is if I 25/7 this. So I can't remember, I know I've mentioned this before, I can't remember who came up with the idea, but 25/7 is basically just a motivational project to get progress on something. And I think the original person is a quilter, or possibly a knitter. I'm not 100% sure. If you know, you can let me know. But the idea is that you spend 25 minutes, 7 days a week working on a project, and you keep that going as long as you want, or as long as you can, so that you can get some significant progress on something. And I've been considering putting this into a 25/7 rotation so that I can get some good work in on it. It's definitely on my WIP Go board. My goal for my WIP Go is 1,000 stitches, but if I could finish this year, this would be fantastic. So that's WIP number 1. Boom. And that is my oldest existing WIP. At some point, actually, I think probably one of my first videos, I talked about pieces that I had finished before I got back into cross stitching around 2018. I think it was 2018. Because I think I came back to cross stitching after my mom passed away, because that was when I really finally reconnected with crafting in general. And part of that was, you know, dealing with that grief and stuff like that. But part of it was realizing that cross stitch offered me a lot of freedom that other crafts had not, because cross stitch, if you want to work on one piece at a time, that's totally fine. But it's also completely acceptable in this community to work on 72 pieces at a time. So it works really well with my need to switch things up, because I need routine, but I also need the dopamine that comes with the new shiny thing. And this craft really enables me to do that without... well, I've taken over a lot of the house, but not taking over the whole house with all of my craft supplies. It's much better than switching up actual crafts every time my brain needs something new and shiny. Switching pieces, switching projects is so much easier in cross stitch than it is for other stuff. Okay, so my second WIP, this is my second oldest WIP. I started this in July 2019. This is, I believe this is still available for free. So this is a free chart. The design is by Peppermint Purple, and I believe it's still available at Lakeside Needleworks, which is a UK-based online cross-stitch shop. And they have lots of really fantastic stuff for you folks that are in the UK, especially since Brexit. If you're living in the UK, that is a shop you want to check out for your cross-stitch supplies, because that's going to be probably the most affordable thing you can do. So I started this in 2019, and all of this white in the background is meant to be black work. So I picked it up. I have really enjoyed stitching various parts, especially you can see I've been playing around, or had been playing around, with the variegation on these different threads that I worked. And I can't remember now the dyer's name. It was the first time I bought hand-dyed threads, and they are still on Etsy if I can remember. Actually, I need to update my link haven. When I get my link haven reset, I will make sure that the link is in there and the name of the dyers in there, because their colors are fantastic. But yeah, so I was playing around with variegation. It's actually only 3 different threads. So there's this rainbow one that I've used for the black work, this sort of red and orange. There's some dark magenta in there too, and then the purple and teal here. So it's 3 different skeins, but lots of different colors. And this actually was my my gateway piece into the Peppermint Purple 2021 or 2020 year of black work Sal. So yeah, I had this on my WIP Go board, but did not actually touch it. I didn't feel like touching it. So this became a shelved project. And for me, what that means is that I'm going to set it aside and check in on it again at some other point and see if I still want to work on it. And if I consistently don't want to work on it, then it's time to retire it, which would mean to put it away and or give it away and not stitch on it anymore. And it's funny because for WIP Go in January, the 2 things that were called were Krampus Klein, which I joked about finishing in January just to get it out of the way, and then 2, stitch on one of my shelved projects. So because this is small and easy to deal with, this is probably going to be my January WIP Go for stitch on a shelved project, especially because if I can actually get myself to work on this, I can maybe finish it, and that would be one of my old WIPs out of the WIP pile. So that's number 2. It's plain white Ada. I think it's 16 count. It might be 18, but it is Ada. And I've got some DMC 310, that's the black there, and then the other 3 threads are from that dyer whose name I can't remember now. This needle minder is one that I made out of some stickers I got from the dollar store. So it's My Little Pony. It's from My Little Pony. I can't remember what that character's name is. She's Knight, somebody Knight, Luna something. I don't remember. But yeah. So So that is WIP number 2. WIP number 3, this is also a shelved project. And I'm considering restarting this instead of completely shelving it. So this is from Fox and Rabbit Designs. This is the Linen and Threads 2020 Mystery Stitch Along. And this is a really massive piece. I want to say that it's almost 300 by 300 when finished. Big Quaker design, and it's a really nice design. I have seen some really gorgeous finishes, and I do like the colors that I've picked, but I didn't find myself wanting to work on this. And the last time I did work on it, I was working in this area up here, and it just was such a slog. It didn't make me happy. So I stitched on it a bit, and then I put it away and decided to keep it put away for a while, because I just wasn't feeling it. And I actually took it out of my WIP Go board because I just wasn't feeling it. And I think part of it is, and it's interesting, so, oh, I never did go back and cross those X's. Or wait. Oh, okay, it's a color thing. It's interesting. When I look at it, I actually like the raised stitches. This is a 32 count fabric. I can't remember what color it is, but it's a 32 count Lugana from Mystic Fabrics. And when I look at the finished stitches, because I've done 2/2 for this design, I like the 3D-ness of them. I like the raised feeling of them, but I find that I do not enjoy stitching with 2 threads on 32 count Lugana. It's taken me a while to realize that, and I think part of it is in the interim I started stitching on Jobelin, and 32 count Jobelin is like heaven for me. That is my favorite fabric. I don't know if every stitcher has a favorite fabric, but my absolute favorite fabric, if I could only stitch on one thing ever again in my life, would be 32 count Jobelin fabric. Don't care what color, any kind of 32 count Jobelin. I would be happy if I never had to stitch, if I only had that to stitch on for the rest of my life. So once I discovered Jobelin, I learned that especially 32 count dyed Lugana. Now undyed Lugana is fine, but dyed Lugana tends to shrink. Most dyed fabrics will shrink, especially if the dyer is using a heat related process. So not all dye techniques require heat. For instance, I do ice dyeing. That's my favorite type of dyeing, and there's no heat involved. I don't even put my fabrics in the dryer when I'm done. So the only heat is maybe some hot water when I'm rinsing them. And that's just to make sure that the dye has completely exhausted. But a lot of dyers actually use RIT dye or some other heat activated dye. It needs that heat to set, and so they're using boiling water to get the dye to set, and then they wash and dry their fabrics after they've dyed them, and that helps it be color fast. So there's a lot of shrinkage that happens in the fabrics, and it turns out that with 32 count Lugana, that shrinkage is enough to make it really uncomfortable to stitch with 2 threads over 2. And I do prefer 2 threads when I'm stitching. Now the alternative is, obviously I could switch to doing 1 thread over, using 1 strand over 2 threads. But I feel like the coverage is not going to make me super happy. But, you know, part of me was like, okay, I don't want to, at the time, the last time I had this out, I was like, I don't think I want to restart it, but I also don't want to keep stitching it this way. So I put it away. And like I say, when I'm looking at it, I actually really love how 3D the design looks on top of the fabric. It looks really nice. But I don't know if I could stand to stitch the whole thing. So I'm considering restarting it on probably a piece of linen, 32 count linen, and I'm considering stitching it 1/1. If I stitch 1/1, I may do 28 count instead of 32 count, just to make sure that it's not going to be uncomfortable. But yeah, so of course, now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, these colors are fantastic. So the fabric is from Mystic Fabrics. The threads, sort of brown, blue, and lavender there is called Indian Tapestry from Threadworks. And I'm not really sure, I'm not sure what Indian refers to in that situation. I don't know if we're talking people from India, like that kind of Indian tapestry, a tapestry originating from the country of India, or if it means something else. So the name of that color bothers me a little bit. But the other thread, which I really, really love, is from Kathy Davidson at Dying for Cross Stitch. I don't think that color combination had a name at the time. That was back when she was doing her, she was using the Facebook page to basically throw stuff up on a Sunday morning, and you had to really race to get anything. That was back in the day. But yeah, so that's Linen and Threads, 2020 Mystery Sal. Stitch along for the new folks. So yeah, I didn't get very far. I think this is mostly January, and then I started February, which you'll find is a theme for my 2020 Sal. Okay, that's only number 3. 30 minutes in and we're only at number 3. I'm amazed I have so much to say about some of these. Let's see. Number 4 is Animal Almanac. I have the worst time saying that correctly. So this is Animal Almanac from the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. This is on the called for, I think it's Heartland. Picture This Plus 28 count linen. So this is casual linen, I believe. 28 count is casual. Was the first time I had used casual linen, and I fell in love. I loved it. So I believe the colorway is Heartland. I know it's Picture This Plus, but I get this confused with the color for Chinese Zodiac. So anyway, I bought this as a kit, a full kit from the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, which is why I have the Animal Almanac Club needle minder, because I was quick that time. And I actually just last night finished February here. So this is the fox who I have dubbed Remy. I don't remember what Frosted Pumpkin named the fox, but I have named my fox Remy. Because I like that name. And I just finished Remy literally last night. The only thing I haven't done on Remy is the back stitching, but everything else is finished. And I did notice I had a couple of pieces over here on my penguin that still needed to be stitched, so I filled those in as well. So I have successfully, after 2 years, I have successfully completed months 1 and 2 of a 12-month stitch along. But yeah, it's super cute. This is another piece that I have been considering using for 25/7, and if I can get myself to actually do it, I may swap back and forth between this piece and the Celestial piece. The reason I want to use this one for 25/7 is because there are tons of color changes. There are lots of little spots where there's only 10 or 15 stitches in a color, and because I hate counting, which I know is funny for a cross stitcher, I hate counting. So what I tend to do is I will pick whatever part of the motif is closest to something else I've already stitched, so I can count as few boxes as possible, or as few stitches as possible. So in this case, I think I started in this upper corner and then started with the globe and stuff. So basically I stitch out from whatever is closest to another motif. And the way these colors are, that's very difficult to color complete, because I would have had to done tons and tons of counting. And when I do tons and tons of counting, I almost always mess up. So I like to count 10 stitches or less when I'm moving around on my fabric. So because there's so much color changing, it can be really slow going. And I'm okay changing colors a couple of times while I'm stitching, but when I'm doing like a 3 or 4 hour session, changing colors every 5 minutes is really irksome. But if I were stitching for only 25 minutes a day, I could pick this color today, and I could stitch all the stitches in that color, or at least what I can get to in that color today. And then tomorrow I might do a completely different color. And the day after that I might do another. It would be a great way to finish those nitpicky little sections without getting so frustrated and annoyed with it. because I could save the larger areas to stitch when I have more time, and I can do those fiddly little bits when I'm only stitching for 25 minutes. So this one might also become a 25/7. Also because I would like to finish the 2020 stitch along before, I mean, maybe in 2022. It's already been 2 years. These little animals need to be finished. Okay, so that was number 4, I think. I don't actually have my list numbered in normal numbers. Okay, the next one is the Year of Black Work Stitch Along from Peppermint Purple. So this is a bag I made myself. This was my test bag before I made my swan bag. So this is just some random fabric I had. 2 kinds of random fabric. Just to kind of figure out the measurements and how to put it together and all that sort of stuff. It's entirely too big. Both of my project bags are much larger than I would have necessarily wanted, but they work just fine. So this is the 2020 Year of Black Work Stitch Along by Peppermint Purple, and you can see I have my special Peppermint Purple needle minder that I bought directly from Claire, all the way from the UK. And you might be able to see if you stitched on this yourself, I'm not very far along. Each one of these boxes is 1 week in 2020. So there were 52 boxes overall, at least 52 boxes. There should have been 1 per week. So let's see, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I finished through week 14. And it's not that I don't like black. I love the look of black work, but I think it's a little too tedious for my brain. And probably if I had kept up with it like I wanted to, it would have been totally fine. If I was doing just one of these little boxes a week, I think that would have been perfectly fine. But they take longer than you think they're going to take, or at least they take longer than I think they're going to take. Pardon. And so it just gets to be such a time commitment. It would be lovely if I could actually stitch 1 box a week in this going forward in 2022, but we'll see. I ended up I think I only stitched maybe 3 boxes in 2021 because I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to. So this became a shelved project as well, because the last time it came up in WIP Go, I was just like, So we'll see. This one may well become a gift for somebody else because I just don't know. I don't know if I'm going to care to continue working on it. Let's see. This fabric this is an 18 count, I believe, Opal Ada that I bought from somewhere. And this is using DMC threads. So that is Peppermint Purple. I don't actually need to put this back in this bag, but I'm going to for right now. And I'm laying these all out on the table because when I'm finished with this, my goal is to reorganize these bins here and put my WIPs down here and then put these bags and stuff elsewhere so that I can use this for display space instead of random WIP space. Okay, I think this is the last of the next piece is the last of the 2020 stitch alongs that I started in January. I started way too many. I had no idea what I was doing. This is Grimm's Fairy Tales. This is from Cloud's Factory, and I very likely will not be purchasing any more charts from Cloud's Factory for the foreseeable future. They have a lot of Harry Potter patterns, and so I've chosen not to shop with folks that continue to make Harry Potter things, even fandom stuff. So, but I purchased this before I made that decision. You can see I've already put a lot of work into it. So I'm going to continue stitching this because I do really like this piece. I'm just not going to buy anything more from them going forward. Now, having said that, I did already purchase before I made that decision. Earlier this year, I had already purchased the 2021 stitch along which was There Is No Planet B. So I do have that chart as well that I may stitch at some point, or may not, I don't know. I haven't put anything into it except the cost of the chart. So it's a relatively small investment if I decide that I don't even want to stitch it, though it is super cute. But this piece I am going to finish. And I'm going to continue doing, I don't know if you can tell very much because I haven't added very much diversity yet. But I am going to make this a more diverse collection of folks. Now you can tell my prince here is not white. Neither is my princess, nor is she blonde. I decided not to have a blonde princess. But I think by the time I realized that diversity was important to me, and adding some other folks who are not white into my piece, that was well after I had started, I had already stitched these. Well, those are animals, so they're fine. I did change this cat. I think that cat was supposed to be gray. I made it a black cat because I have black cats. But I had already stitched her, and I think I'd already stitched the kids here. I decided not to make the witch a person of color because I don't like the idea of having, especially if they're the only people of color in a thing, I don't like the people of color to be traditionally bad guys. So, so this witch I think is more olive skinned. Yeah, she's not as pale as the other. So I did change her skin tone, but she's still sort of whitish. But I did change the skin tone of the prince and princess there. Actually, I think I decided that my prince is non-binary too. I can't remember. But yeah. So more diversity is coming. I think I have finished, let's see, there's 4 stories here. So this would be January, February, March, and I've got most of April finished. So this is the most progress I have on any of my 2020 stitch alongs, and that's largely because this is a really fun piece to stitch. This fabric is a 16 count Aida dyed by Mystic Fabrics. I don't think it had a name. I think it was a Sunday Fabric Wars special, and it's gorgeous. I love the modeling on this. And I can't remember if I gave Rachel the other half of this piece, but I definitely had another half. Now, if I still have it, I may actually put There Is No Planet B on the other half of this so that they would coordinate. But I'm not 100% sure, just because this really is a more green fabric, and I probably want something that's more blue, like oceany, for There Is No Planet B. But that's that one. So again, that is Grimm's Fairy Tales. This is all in, oh, it's not all in DMC. It's got DMC and I think some Weeks Dye Works. Which for pieces that I've already started, I'm continuing to use the Weeks Dye Works. I'm not buying new Weeks Dye Works for anything. As much as possible, if I haven't started a piece, I'm going to convert out the Weeks Dye Works, unless it's a large kitted piece or it's difficult to sub out the color. Because in some pieces there's enough shading or like particular color coordination that if I've already kitted it up with Weeks, before I stop buying them, then I'm just going to leave it like it is, but I'm not buying any more Weeks. So that's that. I think we're at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So WIP number 8. This is another Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. This is another stitch along. It's a lot of stitch alongs, right? 2020 was the year of the stitch along for me. 2022 is going to be no more stitch alongs. Or at least no more stitch alongs where the idea is to stitch a monthly drop pattern. Like I'm not going to do, I'm not going to say I'm not going to do it. My intention is not to join any more monthly drop type things for a while, because I have so many that I started and have not finished. Anyway, Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. This is the Chinese Zodiac, and they are super cute. These little animals are so cute. There's some coordinating patterns. Well, they're not coordinating, but there's correlating patterns for each Zodiac year, starting in 2019, I think, going forward. So there's going to be 12, because I think there's 12 in the Chinese Zodiac. There's ultimately going to be 12 years with each of their animal representations, mascots. Yeah, whatever they're called. But this is a really awesome piece. I got a lot of work done on this for WIP Go, or because of WIP Go. In fact, I'm not quite halfway finished at this point, mostly because there's lots of little bits and pieces that go all in through here. But I did get quite a lot done because of WIP Go. So that's where we are. And I've got the little Chinese zodiac needle minder. I love their needle minders. Their needle minders, these wooden ones, are made by a needle runs through it, and they're so super cute. I love them. Oh, I should have mentioned my needle minder here is from the Top Knot Stitcher. Top Knot Stitchery. Top Knot Stitcher Shop. Top Knot Stitcher Shop. As much as I can remember, I'm going to tell you where I got things, unless I don't recommend shopping at those places. Which is not me telling you can't shop wherever you want to shop. Just that I've chosen not to shop at that particular place. So just remember that. I'm telling you where I'm choosing not to do things. I'm not telling you what you have to do. You're your own person. You make your own decisions. As long as you're happy with your decisions, that's not my business. Not my business. But I know what is comfortable for me, and I'm going to do what's comfortable for me. So this is number 9. This is the kind of stitch along I'm okay to join in on going forward, where there's an established pattern that we all decide to stitch at the same time or stitch together or concurrently or something. I will still join those kinds of stitch alongs, especially if I can use a piece I already have started to qualify with the stitch along. So I'll be happy to stitch together with people. I just don't want to do year-long stitch alongs for a while until I finish some of mine. So this is a chart called Yoga Corns. It's actually Yoga Corns 2 because there's 3 sets of 3 Yoga Corns. This is a piece that I have been stitching along with Rachel and Heike. And this is from Little Room in the Attic. Her name is Marina. I should have written it down. Or it's Melina. I can't remember, but Little Room in the Attic on Etsy. And she has some fantastic designs. She's one of those European, I believe Russian, I'm not 100%, but she's a European stitcher who does all that fantastic looking backstitch design that is murder to stitch. It looks gorgeous when you're finished. And this yoga corn is actually not even finished. So there's still tons of Krynic that needs to be stitched into these curly cues and stuff. But I got all of the black back stitching done. And I love the way it looks when it's finished. It's so worth it when it's finished because I love that sketchy pen and ink kind of quality. But oh my gosh, is it a bear to stitch. So anyway, so this was, again, this was Yoga Corn Sal, but I also salved it with, what is it? Backstitch doesn't scare me. So cross stitch BDSM, hashtag cross stitch BDSM, and something else that had to do with backstitch. I can't remember what it was. But yeah. So that is Yoga Corns. The fabric here, this is a 32 count linen. I believe this is Unipu. I think that's the colorway. It's from Mystic Fabrics. 32 count opalescent linen. This fabric is gorgeous. I love this fabric. It's one of my favorites. And I have my little needle minder that I made. So extra. So extra. This is a tea turtle enamel pin that I have turned into a needle minder. So extra. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. This one doesn't have more work done on it because backstitch is murder. It's so extra. The backstitch is so extra. I did these Yoga Corns, Chinese Zodiac, and the next one. Oh, I'm supposed to be telling you when I started these. Well, let's see. Pretty much the last 8. Let's see. Okay, so Linden Threads was a January start in 2020. Animal Almanac, Peppermint Purple. My computer's telling me things. and Grimm's Fairy Tales. I started those all in various parts of January in 2020. Chinese Zodiac I started in April of 2020. That's when that stitch along started. And Yoga Corns I started on my birthday in 2020, so May 25th. And that was part of a, that was the one and only time I did Mania. I'm not going to do Mania, hashtag Mania going forward, just because I'm not comfortable with the term Mania. Also, there are only certain times I get in the mood to do like a rush of starts like that. And I definitely don't want to do a ton of new starts just for the sake of new starts, because it gets overwhelming. So that particular time, I think I must have finished most of my Mania starts from that year, because I only have 2 on my list now. So the other piece that I started in May was Fleur-de-Lis. Or I should say the other piece I still have that I started in May was Fleur-de-Lis. And I think this is right side up. Yeah, okay. I think sometimes I actually put my hoop sideways and stuff. I think I did this one specifically so I would know which end was up. So I think I'm pretty sure this is the correct orientation. This is from Ink Circles. The design is from Ink Circles, Fleur-de-Lis, on a piece of 32 count ice dyed linen, I believe, from Dyeing for Cross Stitch, Kathy Davidson at Dyeing for Cross Stitch. The threads here are silks from Hand Dyed by Rolanda, one of my favorite dyers. You can find her on Etsy. Kathy Davidson at Dyeing for Cross Stitch, and that's dyeing the number 4 cross stitch. She has her own website. So this is a piece that I started in May, thinking I'd finish it in October for a couple of our friends who are very connected to Louisiana because of her family, and also they are great lovers of the Saints and fleur-de-lis and all that sort of stuff. So I did this intending it to be an anniversary present 2 years ago. Maybe by their next anniversary I will have it finished. We shall see. I talked about this when I had it out for WIPGO. I'm going to do this central design, which is basically a cross in this sort of gold silk. And then there are cross pieces that come out at the diagonal. I'm going to do in a somewhat contrasting metallic type color. So I want to say this is like a third of the way finished. Maybe. I can't remember. But yeah. So that was May 31st. And then we have a big gap because I did several new starts in May, and then I was like, oh my gosh, too many new starts. So the next piece I started, or at least the next piece that I still have going that I started, I didn't start until September, when I started Season of Smalls for the first time. So this is September 2020. And this is Gathering Berries. This is my first foray into, or at least my first intentional foray into a 40 count fabric. So this is 1/1 on 40 count. Most everything else you have seen, if it's not Ada, is 2/2. This is the one piece I've actually done that's 1/1. I love the way it looks. I love how small it is, how delicate, but it is murder. It is murder. This fabric is a piece of 40 count mallow, which actually has a look and feel more like Lugana than it does linen. And I'm not really sure what mallow is made out of, but it's its own thing. So you have linen and Ada and Jobelin and Murano and Lugana, and then mallow apparently is its own thing. So I'm not sure what the fabric content or fiber content is. But it's a nice looking fabric. I did realize belatedly, like very belatedly, when I worked on this last time, that if I want all of my gathering pieces to coordinate, I kind of need to do them all on 40 count mallow. I don't know if I'm up for that. Like maybe if it were 36 count or 32 count 1/1, but the 40 count, it's difficult. It's difficult, but I still love it. The chart is by Luminous Fiber Arts, It is the first in the Gathering series. There are now 4 pieces. So this is Gathering Berries. There's also Gathering Acorns, I think was the second piece. No, Gathering Clover was the second piece. Gathering Acorns was the third. And the most recent is Gathering Snowflakes. I do intend to do them all at some point. And I may actually have to do them on 40 count mallow. Because I love how this looks. It's so tiny. But, you know, even as tiny as it is, that's a lot of stitches. You don't think how many stitches are really in a 60 by 60 piece, because I never do the math. I mean, it's, but it's big. It's like 3,600 stitches for this tiny little piece. But look how pretty it is. I got a lot of work done on it the last time I worked on it at WIP Go. So I'm thinking I'm trying to do that. I think I'm maybe halfway, maybe like 40% finished with this piece. I think my WIP Go goal for this year is to finish it. I think I want to finish this one this year. So yeah, that was piece, I don't know, what are they? I should have numbered these with real numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually, I think this is 10 because that's actually a different piece. Okay, so this is number 10. Number 10. Look how cute the birds are. I need a bird and little strawberries. I love it. Okay. The thread I'm using is Classic Colorworks. No. Color and Cotton Bing Cherry, which is one of my favorite reds of all time. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous red. So Color and Cotton Bing Cherry. Now, this is a massive piece. This I started, this is, I think, the last stitch along that I started, like mystery stitch along. And I started this at the end of September, so at the very end of the month that it was started. And this is, oh, I forgot one thing. I keep forgetting to talk about needle minders. This is another needle minder that I made. It's just a Rainbow Love. And then this is, again, a needle minder that I made. And I actually have these for sale in the Etsy shop. I think I might still have some of the Love ones in the Etsy shop as well. So this is, and a lot of you are going to recognize this one. This is Dark Queen of the Sea. It looks really weird because it's just her torso, but she has no head. But this is my Dark Queen of the Sea. This is Autumn Lane Stitchery. This is the stitch along that they started in September of 2020. I think I've only finished 4 drops of 12. But yeah. And she, I put her on pause. I didn't really put her on pause, but I haven't worked on her for quite a while. And part of that is because I'm going to redesign part of her, like from here down. Not like a major redesign, but she's designed with a silhouette a bit like, well, not a bit like, she's designed with a mermaid silhouette, but she is a cephalopod. She has tentacles, so she is either a squid or she is an octopus. And for me, the shape of her silhouette is not right for the kind of creature that she is. So if you remember, and granted, Ursula from Disney's Little Mermaid was quite a robust octopus merperson. So this particular queen is obviously a little bit more, or is less Rubenesque. She's thinner, she's more slender. However, we should still have some flair here that goes into the tentacles, because you can't have 8 fat tentacles come out of this teeny little bit here. It's just not, I know it's a fantasy creature, but the biology just doesn't work for me. I know it's fantasy. I know it doesn't have to be realistic, but for me, because it's my piece, I need her to look more like an octopus. So I'm going to be redesigning this bit here to kind of flare her from her hips down, to make it feel more voluptuous and more octopusy. Oh, that was wrong. To make her feel more like an octopus, and a cephalopod to fit what I feel is good. So nothing against Aaron. He's a fantastic artist. I love his style. I mean, she looks really nice the way he designed her, but it doesn't work for me, and it's my piece, so I'm gonna do what I want. So so that is something coming. I'm not going to redesign it massively. As much as possible, I'm going to leave the original artwork intact, but I am going to change the shape and the silhouette from here down. So it'll be interesting to see what I do when I get there. And then I'm hiding my needle minder. This is a nigiri salmon sushi, a salmon nigiri sushi pin that I got from Teal Teacup that I have turned into a needle minder. I figure sushi's pretty appropriate for the Dark Queen of the Sea, right? Also, lastly, this fabric is a 28 count opal Lugana that I dyed myself. This is like my favorite dye job ever. It's so pretty. So pretty. And I know I'm bragging, but it's really, I am so proud of myself for this fabric because I had a look in mind. I had a feel that I wanted, and I actually managed to make the thing that fit. And I was so excited. I'm still so excited. And I really want to make more of this for other people who might be interested in it. I'm really hoping to do more actual dyeing and like creating this year, because I haven't made a lot of stuff that was original to me in a while, and I would like to make some more original stuff. So but yeah, so that's Dark Queen of the Sea. I think that was number 11. I'm running out of space. Let's see. This one I've just shown recently. I have a big box over here, if you couldn't tell. And let's see. Let me just adjust a few things here. I'm not editing this, just so y'all know. You're gonna get what you get, because that's how we do. If I were to take time to edit this, it would take me 6 more days to get this loaded. So unless there's a huge massive mess up, we're just gonna go with what it is. So I just showed this to you all recently. This is Someone We Love by Glendon Place. And I purchased this as a kit, so it came with Picture This Plus fabric, and I can't remember what it's the called for fabric. And it's got dinky dyes, the called for dinky dyes. And this piece I bought, it says, because someone we love is in heaven, there's a little bit of heaven in our home. And I bought this as a memorial piece to commemorate and remind me of and show my love and caring for my mom, my stepdad, and my father, who have all passed. So I've talked about this a lot. I'm not going to talk about it a lot right now because I'm in a good mood and we want to stay that way. But this is where I last left it. I just worked on it December 21st, and I think a little bit the 22nd and 23rd for my mom and stepdad's anniversary. And I really love this piece. I think I purchased the entire, it came as a kit, a limited edition kit. And it came with beads as well. And I think I purchased that from Mystic Fabrics in 2019. And then this needle minder, let me not use my middle finger. This needle minder is from Top Knot Stitcher Shop. The swans there. And then this needle minder, if I can get it to focus, this needle minder was a gift from Rachel. So I don't know where she got that. She got it from an Etsy shop, but I don't remember what Etsy shop. And this is the bag that I made. This is my special swan bag because my mother loved swans. And I found this gorgeous fabric on Spoonflower. Found that gorgeous fabric on Spoonflower. It's actually meant to be sewn into like a child's skirt. But I loved the pattern and I turned it into a bag. And I'm very happy about that. So here's my bag. Yeah. Okay, we're just gonna. Okay, we're about halfway through. Next we have, and this is an awesome one. I love this one. Oops. Next we have, you can't tell what it is. And I'm sorry, but because it would take too long to edit, I'm not going to put the picture of it in here. But I will tell you exactly what it is and who made it, so you can go look at it yourself. This is meant to be the Drama Llama sampler from Bendy Stitchy Designs. As you can see, I don't have a lot going on. I think I started this. When did I start this? Oh, I should have mentioned Someone We Love. I started on October 1st, 2020, which was near my mother's birthday for my, I think, one and only high tea start. This one I started November 3rd, which it was either close to or on election day in 2020. I can't remember when election day was, but I know that I intended to start this on or near election day. And what was I saying? Oh, so I only stitched on it that one day, and when it popped up in my WIP Go, it wasn't that I didn't want to work on it, I just ran out of time. Ran out of time that particular month. So I've only done just a little bit of stitching. This is part of the border. But it has an awesome quote on it that it's a sampler, so it has the alphabet across the top and another alphabet at the bottom. I'm actually going to replace the alphabet at the top with a quote from Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and then I'm going to leave the original text that Michelle included, which I can't think of. It's something about now's a good time to destroy the patriarchy or something to that effect. So I'm going to leave that original text there that she designed. I'm just going to replace the top alphabet with a Ruth Bader Ginsburg quote, and then I may find another quote or something else to replace the bottom alphabet. Mostly just because I'm not an alphabet. I like stitching letters, but I don't necessarily like random alphabets for the purpose of alphabets. So I may replace that as well. This fabric is from Be Stitch Me. It might be Tree Hugger. It's this is a Jobelin. This is a 32 count Jobelin. Yes, this is 32 count Jobelin. Like I say, I think it's Tree Hugger, but I don't recall. And then I can't remember where I bought this needle minder, but it says Be a Nice Human, which I thought was fitting for the intent of this piece. So I'm sorry that there's not more to show you. But I love this piece, and I can't wait to get. I was hoping I would have some time before the end of the year to actually try to meet my WIP Go goal, but I don't think it's going to happen. There's not much time. Let's see. Yeah, so that moves us on to this piece. This is a bag from the 805 Stitcher. And I need to swap up bags. So the project bag I have, my chart and silks for Someone We Love is actually a fox bag. And I need to steal it from that project and give it to this project because this project actually has foxes in it. So this is, and part of the reason I don't have charts to show you is because I do a lot of stitching from Pattern Keeper. So when I have a paper chart, I can show you. So this one is Fox View. That's what it's going to look like. This is what it looks like now. This is another stitch along that I decided to do, or that Rachel and Heike and I started together. I am significantly farther behind than Rachel is. And the last time I stitched it, I nearly finished the outside border. And I think I finished the flowers and stuff. I think, if I remember correctly, I think Heike finished this in one go. Like when she started it, she just boom, finished it. She got a much later start than Rachel and I did, but then she finished it all in one swoop. Because she's a machine when she gets into it. Rachel is much, much closer to finishing than I am. But that's where I am. So this is what it's gonna look like someday. And this is what it looks like now. My hope is to finish this during 2022. It's a small enough piece. It's only it's 54 by 90, and it's not full coverage, so it's really not that big. I'm not sure why I haven't finished it yet. I think part of it is it's hard for me to get started on pieces like this because there's so much space in between the motifs when you start. But now I've got the outside border mostly done. It should be a lot faster. This is, the fabric is 32 count linen. I'm not sure what the colorway is, but it's from Be Stitch Me. I want to say it might be Boot Camp, maybe? I know it's 32 count linen from Be Stitch Me. And I am using the called for threads because I purchased this before I stopped buying Weeks Dye Works. So this is stitched in Weeks Dye Works and Classic Colorworks. So that is that. Now, since I talked about Cloud's Factory being somewhat problematic because of the Harry Potter thing. Oh, hold on, I have to answer the phone. Okay, I totally forgot that I was supposed to call my brother. So he just called. I had no idea it had gotten so late already. I mean, I can see the time clock down there, but it didn't occur to me how late it was. So anyway, back to flosstube. So I have talked about discontinuing purchasing some designers and stuff. You know, if I feel like they're problematic for one reason or another. And Plum Street Samplers is one I'm kind of on the fence about, not because of their ideology or anything like that. As far as I know, Paulette Stewart doesn't have any problematic ideology that I'm aware of, but she does have a tendency to design a lot of stuff that is not necessarily centered on colonialism, but has to do with the colonial era. But I've been reviewing a lot of her older work and stuff, and it's not like, I mean, she doesn't, as far as I've seen, doesn't have any patterns that are like specifically related to the Mayflower or you know, those major symbols of colonialism and slave trades and things like that. So so I don't know that I necessarily need to stop stitching Plum Street Samplers. I had discussed it with Alicia Resist Stitch, and we had both kind of agreed that the colonial themes were maybe not within our core values, and maybe that wasn't the best thing. But the more I've looked into the designs, I'm not seeing as much problematic stuff, or I'm not seeing the problematic stuff that I thought was there. There are a lot of houses that are in a colonial style in a lot of her motifs and designs and stuff. But unlike some other designers which have specifically commemorated things like the Mayflower and other very colonial or imperialistic motifs, I'm not finding that in Plum Street Samplers. A lot of her stuff is just super cute animals. Or religious based, Christianity based, I should say. You know, so a lot of quotes, biblical quotes, or things that are in that Christian vein. So, which I'm not Christian, but I don't have anything against Christians, so that's not really an issue for me. So I don't know. I mean, if you feel like there are problematic things in Plum Street Samplers, let me know. I'd love to have that conversation with you to kind of discuss it and feel out whether I should still be considering pulling out of Plum Street Samplers, purchasing and selling and things like that. But where I sit now, from what I have looked at, from what I've researched, I feel comfortable with Plum Street Samplers. I don't see a lot of problematic stuff. So if I'm wrong, please let me know. If there's stuff that you've seen that is much more entrenched in colonialism and things like that, please let me know. But I think I'm okay. I think I'm okay, which is good, because I shouldn't say which is good, but I mean, I would rather be true to my values than continue stitching something just because I think it's cute, or continuing supporting a designer just because I think they have cute designs, because it's important to me to support things that I believe in. But I don't think that there's anything that goes against my values in the designs that I have seen. But I am open to discussing that if others have a different point of view, or if you've seen things that I haven't seen. So. But I do have other Plum Street Samplers that I am stitching or would like to stitch. And the things that I already own, I probably will stitch, especially if I've already started it, because I already own it. But I may not show it on the channel if I decide that I'm not going to support a particular designer. But I think Plum Street's okay. I think so. But yeah. Because even, I did see, like, back in 2016 or 2015, Paulette had done a series, Colonial Gathering. And I don't know how long running that series was, but a couple of pieces that I was able to see from that series were actually, it was colonial from the standpoint of the state was a colony, was one of the 13 colonies. And the actual themes and images in the specific piece weren't really related to colonization or the 13 colonies. They just happened to be states that were in the 13 colonies. So I'm not sure that that's an issue for me. So anyway, so that's Foxview. I don't know if I'm stating all of that clearly enough. If it's confusing, the reason I'm concerned about colonialism and imperialism is because I very much value indigenous people, and I want to be a good ally to indigenous peoples, and so a lot of that is, or to be a good ally, I need to work as much as possible to decolonize myself and pull myself out of things that are celebrating colonizer culture in certain ways. So that's why I'm concerned about it. If it's confusing to you why I'm concerned about it. Okay, next piece. This was my, oh, actually, okay. So this was a new start in December of 2020. This was a stitch along that I kept up for a little bit at the beginning of the month. It came from the Crowned Winter box that Forbidden Fiber Co. put out in 2020. And the design is by Bendy Stitchy Designs, Michelle at Bendy Stitchy Designs. And the chart is called, actually, I can just do this. The chart is called Crowned Winter, as was the box, but it was a mystery stitch along when the box came out. So as you can see, I got a goodly bit of stuff in here. I'm not sure if I have do I have the full design? Obviously, I did not prepare enough. Yeah, okay. So here's the printing chart, because it was released in pieces. So this is the final design. Oh, winter ruler of the inverted year, I crown thee king. And it's got a bunch of sort of primitive motifs. And I really love the border. Like, the border is my absolute favorite part of this entire piece. I love it, love it, love it. And the urn that the vines are coming out of, super awesome. So I was super enjoying that. But the other motifs, and I love you, Michelle, but the other motifs were just not my, not necessarily my my bag. And I got behind, and so ultimately I just decided to put it away, mostly because I hadn't decided if I wanted to continue stitching it as it was, or if I wanted to make changes, or what I wanted to do. And I also felt like I wanted this to be a winter stitch piece, so I didn't continue it into January. I put it to the side. I did start to stitch the butterfly on the side, and I really love the little squirrel that's next to the urn. So those pieces I will probably put in, and the text as well, because I do like the text. But I don't know if I want to finish that house or not. I mean, I might. It's in a really pretty purple color. Actually, you know what? I like, now that I'm looking at it again, it's just the people. I don't like people. And I'm like, actually, I like the squirrel, I like the butterfly, I like the crate, yeah. So it's just the people. I just don't like people. But yeah, now that I have this out and I'm looking at it again, I'm like, oh my God. I love, that border is everything. That border is life. I love it. Okay, so this might not stay shelved. It probably only stayed shelved as long as it did because I forgot that it was there. Because as you can see, I put it in a project bag and I set it to the side, and I haven't looked at it. It didn't even go on WIP because for whatever reason I decided not to put it on my WIP board. So, but it's so pretty. So this fabric is from Forbidden Fiber Co. I have not been purchasing from Forbidden Fiber Co. for most of this year because up until recently they were still selling Harry Potter themed things. But my understanding is that starting in January they will no longer be selling their Harry Potter Yarn Club, and I think that means that they will have removed all of their Harry Potter themed items from their website. So fingers crossed I will be able to purchase from Forbidden Fiber Co. in the future. I know that they've been called in by a couple of different people, and I'm hoping that this change is an indication that they've listened and been receptive to that. So hopefully. So the fabric was dyed by them, by Leanne. The flosses were also dyed by Leanne. And this is stitched in the called for everything that was dyed by Leanne. So, and that is the chart. What's this in here? Oh, okay, it's another part of the pattern. I will actually probably give or destash this at some point because I have all of the chart that I need in the individual releases. I don't actually need that printed chart. In addition, if I decided that I needed, that I actually did need a separate copy of the chart, I'd probably buy it in PDF, in which case I still wouldn't need the printed chart. So, so that may become up for grabs at some point, because somebody else should get a chance to stitch that. I think this might be, now that it's been a year since this was released, Michelle actually may have this available in her Etsy shop now. Just FYI, if you can't wait until I decide to destash. This bag, by the way, is, this is an Evertote. This was, I think, actually 2019's Christmas edition bag. And it's really, really nice. Love it. Okay, that's that. And now, this is my New Year's Eve start last year, because I was determined that I should start my Long Dog Sampler pandemic chart during 2020 when the pandemic started. So, so this is Long Dog Sampler's Pandemic. This is on a piece of, I can't remember the colorway. I have it written down somewhere. It's Be Stitch Me. It's 32 count Jolene. What is it? I think it's called Storm, maybe? It's a gorgeous color, and these colors really pop nicely, and I'm using mostly Kathy Davidson dyeing for cross stitch threads. These rainbow ones are actually Silks for You, and I can't remember the number. I want to say it's like PR 160 is the rainbow that I'm using. I do believe they have this color still for sale in their Etsy shop or on their website, or both. They are based in Australia, so if you're going to purchase, and I think you kind of have to purchase directly from them, but if you're going to purchase from them, make sure that you save up enough to order enough that it makes the shipping worth it, just FYI. But yeah, I love the Silks for You rainbow thread. It's gorgeous. This color is Sangria, and this darker purple on the outside is Decadence. Those are both from Kathy Davidson at Dyeing for Cross Stitch, and I have a third color, Tutti Free, that I'll be adding in later. So that is Long Dog Sampler's Pandemic. This is my This Is Fine needle minder. I can't remember where I bought that. Probably from, honestly, it's somebody that might be purchasing their pin blanks from an unlicensed source. So whoever it was, it's probably good that I forgot, so that I don't buy from them again. But I do love that needle minder, and it's perfect for pandemic. This is fine. This is fine. Let's see, is there anything else I need to say about that? I don't think so. I just love working on this. So I think when I do my next Long Dog, and I do say when I do my next Long Dog Sampler, I think I'm going to do it 1/1 instead of 2/2. Just because, look how big this is going to be. This is not even a full page finish yet. This is going to be massive. I have a half yard of fabric. So if I do it 1/1 on 32 count, that should it should be significantly smaller. And I love the look of patterns like that that are done teeny tiny. It just looks so nice. So, yeah. So that was the very last start of 2020, new start of 2020. My very first start of 2021 is this piece right here. This was my unicorn chart, and I actually purchased it as a kit right at the beginning of the pandemic in like April or something like that of 2020, and then I didn't start it until January 1 of 2021. So it was my new year, new start. I even have my coordinating needle minder. I purchased this needle minder and the kit from Gecko Rouge. The artist is Medusa Dollmaker, and she's one of my favorite artists. And it's largely because she does her work in an Art Nouveau style, which is like my favorite artistic style ever. Love it, love it, love it. As you can see, I don't have a lot. That's something like 2,000 stitches, but it doesn't look like a lot, especially because the top corner is just dark background with some stars. Very pale stars. So I haven't worked a lot on this, but yeah, I'm planning on this year. I'm going to be doing the full coverage Fanatics bike tour of Germany. So I'm going to be using this piece and my other full coverage that you'll see in a second. I'm going to be using this piece and that piece for my full coverage pieces towards the bike ride through Germany, which I think is going to be fun as a group activity. So I'll be joining in on that, and possibly one or two other challenges, we'll see. But yeah, not exactly sure how all that's going to shake out along with WIP Go, but that's how we're doing it. What I will say is that any progress that I get towards the full coverage Fanatics challenges will count towards my WIP Go, and vice versa, as far as I'm concerned. So, so those are not counterproductive activities. I'll be able to work those into each other. So that is that. I don't have a lot done, but there it is. That was my very first large full coverage piece, like BAP full coverage. I had done a much smaller full coverage 60 by 60 from Arteki, and I finished that earlier this year. I started it last year and finished it earlier this year. So that was technically my first full coverage piece that I finished, but it was only 60 by 60. This one is like 300 by 400 or something. It's big. Okay. Now we're going to get into the February starts from last year. February, for those who are interested, I do February in February. That's why it's called February. And I know it's a mouthful, but I just wanted something that had to do with birds and February at the same time. So February. And I've decided that this year, because V of these 20 stitches, because their birthday is in November, and they did Flipty the bird this past November, that going forward, November will also be a bird month for me anyway. I'm probably just going to continue using these hashtags for it. So I'm going to spend November flipping Bee the bird. And then February is February, so all the birds in February, and then again in November, because why not? Birds. I am planning on starting a separate WIP Go board just for birds. And I think what I might do, I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to put on it, but I have decided that that board will be used exclusively in February and November. So I will roll my own numbers. If y'all decide that you want to use a burb board also, then I can roll numbers for all of us if that's something that you want to do. I'm not about to start a Facebook group for it, just FYI. I am happy for you to join me on the journey, and I can roll the numbers, and you can use the numbers if you want to too, but I don't have the time to organize a Facebook group. I'm happy to use hashtags on Instagram. that's how we can roll. But yeah, so I'm gonna be doing burb board in February and November, but I haven't decided yet whether bird board is going to include WIPs I've already started, or whether bird board will be specifically new starts. I also haven't decided if there's going to be a specific interval at which I will roll numbers, or if I'm going to roll numbers when I feel like it, or what. I haven't figured all the stuff out, but it's a thing. I'm gonna do it. Februaries go regardless, but I'm gonna use my bird board for February and for Flippity the Bird in November. So just be aware. Be aware. So yeah, let's talk about what I started last year for February. This is getting really long. And my throat's getting really dry, and it's getting to be dinner time. Just so you know. Okay. I'm very nearly there, though. I'm very nearly there. Pardon. Okay. I have threads in here, so let me just move these before. So this is a chart that I got out of the 2020 Christmas Winter edition of Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine. This is a piece by Cecilia Turner of Heart and Hand Needle Art, and it is called Winter Cardinal Etching. It's super cute. I've seen a couple of people finish this year, and it is super cute. I love it. I'm a huge fan of cardinals. I mean, I love birds in general, but I'm a huge fan of cardinals, mostly because of the idea that when you see a cardinal, it's a loved one who has passed on coming back to visit you. I love that idea. It brings me a lot of comfort, so I really feel a lot of joy when I see a cardinal out and about. And cardinals are relatively common here in Virginia, so I get to feel a lot like somebody's watching out for me. That's as far as I got. So the way I did February last year, semi-intentionally, I had planned to kind of start a new bird every single day. That went for about 4 days. So essentially, I'd start a new piece and I'd stitch for it. I'd stitch on it as long as I could that day, and then the next day I moved on to something else. Excuse me. So that's as much as I stitched. As you can see, there's a lot more to stitch. But I hope to finish this year, not necessarily in February, but to finish it sometime in 2022. This piece calls for classic colorworks, but I have subbed in color and cotton. So it calls for 2 colors. I have subbed in caramel brownie from color and cotton for the brown, and this is Bing Cherry, which, as I said, is my favorite red. It is a beautiful cardinal red. So those are the colors that I am using for mine. And yeah, so that's that. So that is cardinal etching, which I kind of hoped would pop up in January because this feels like a very January stitch. I might just work on it in January anyway. No rules, right? I can do whatever I want. My bird, it is my bird. My board, my rules. I can do whatever I want for Wicca, right? I can stitch whatever I want. Okay, what is this? A random piece of other fabric in here. Okay, this is a whip that I will need in a minute, so I'm going to try to pull it out here. Sorry for all the awkward noises. This bag is stuck on my shirt. This bag is a Garon Stitchery bag. I think it's no, it's not my only Garon Stitchery bag. It's my only one of this size. And it has cardinals on it, which is why it's my bird bag. It's because it has birds. The bird bag has birds. How about that, right? I like that bag a lot. Pardon. Okay, so this one I started on Winter Cardinal Etching I started on February 1st. My second start for February, and I know this doesn't have birds on it, but it is a bird chart. You have to trust me. This is another Evertote bag from Caroline, off the grid. Now this is another one that I had already purchased all of the called for flosses. So there's WIP Parade and Color and Cotton, and or not classic, yeah, Classic Colorworks. Ugh, I have the worst time keeping those two separated. Okay, so this is Blackbird Fractor. And when I mentioned having other things on the go from Plum Street Samplers, this is one of those pieces. Obviously, I did not get far. So this was February 2nd. I only stitched on it February 2nd. But look at that. Look how pretty. I love the design. So let me set this here. That's not a good place to sit down. Let me set this here. Okay, I put my chart somewhere else because of course I did. So I don't have the chart to show you. That's straight up a no, I think. This fabric is, I think this is Jovelin. No, this is Lugana. Wow, I really don't remember what fabric this is. It looks like it's a fat quarter. Wow, okay. Totally. Usually I can remember what fabric, at least who I got the fabric from. I feel like this is Stitch Me fabric. It's a gorgeous creamy color. And I remember when I pulled it out, it was like the perfect color for this chart. I feel like it's Stitch Me, but it's not as, this must be Lugana though, because this is not smooth enough to be Jovelin. Anyway, it's a gorgeous color. Probably 32 count. I'm a little surprised if it's 32 count though, because I don't remember, I mean the stitching doesn't look the same as it does on some of my other 32 count fabric. Regardless. It's a fabric with some threads. And I don't have the chart right here to show you what it looks like. But this was not exactly a unicorn chart. One, because it's fairly easily accessible. But two, because it just wasn't that. I didn't want it for as long as I wanted Gamer Nouveau. But this piece was very close to a unicorn chart because it was one of the first, when I started learning about all the different designers that were currently designing for the cross-stitch community, this was one of the first charts that I ran across that I just really fell in love with. And I bought it when I started getting really into cross-stitching and stuff. So it's one of the first things that I bought that I was just like, yes, must have this. So one of the first curated charts, I think. So I really love that piece. So that's Blackbird Fractor. And then on February 3rd, I think, February 3rd, I started stitching, oops, there's still a needle there. I started stitching Quirky Quaker Puffin. And this is, I believe this silk is from the Stitch Me. I've got it here inside my chart because I was super organized. Yeah, so this is, I think this was a Halloween silk. It's called Witchy from the Stitch Me. It's really gorgeous. I'm going to have to save the rest of this and use it for 3 little hexes from D and Uncanny Kari, from Kari Naked. Because that will be perfect, I think, for 3 little hexes. So this is what the Quirky Quaker Puffin looks like. It's from Darling and Whimsy Designs, Deanna at Darling and Whimsy, and I'm going to stitch so many of the Quirky Quakers. She has a ton of them out now, and I am like just thrilled every time she puts out a new one. They're fantastic. I'm not sure why I didn't finish this. I should have. I don't know why I only got the little bird. The puffin itself, you know, you can see I need to do all the motifs out there around it. But it's super cute. And this is a little scrap piece of fabric from the last round of dyeing that I did. It's on 28 count opal Lugana. And I just thought it would be super cute. So, Quirky Quaker Puffin. Look how cute he is. And I think that was actually the last of the birds. Almost the last of the birds. The next bird I started wasn't until May. So let me just put this back in here. Put both of these back. In the bird bag. I really probably should put Blackbird Fractor in here as well, because then I wouldn't lose it like I did last time. Because I wouldn't have expected to find it in a bag that has caps on it. find it in a bag that has cardinals on it. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. I really hope you have had a snack, because I need a snack. Okay, we're in there. We're in there. I had no idea it was going to, I don't know why I had no idea it was going to take me this long. I should have known. I should have known. Okay. So the last piece I started in February, and this is kind of what derailed February, to be honest. I started Dreaming Girl by Barbara Anna. And I got so enamored of this chart. This was a stitch along in like 4 or 5 parts. And I got so enamored of this that I couldn't stitch anything else. And I did a couple of color conversions. I changed up her skin tone. And I also made her hair redder because I just wanted a redhead. I'm really just, I love gingers. Ginger cats, ginger people, ginger. So I wanted her to be ginger. So I think I actually changed up both of the colors in her hair. I think I made the designs within her hair a darker brown than they were originally charted, and then I made her actual hair more orange, like redder than it was originally charted. I also changed the colors of her shirt. I made those both purple because I like purple. So I made her very much a reflection of me and what I like. She also has purple eyelashes because why the hell not, right? I love her freckles. So she's super cute. Love her. And what else was I going to say about it? Part of the reason I stopped stitching on her was because I was very inspired by Michelle over at Bendy Stitchy. She did hers to reflect an MMIW symbol, which is the red hand painted over the face. And she did a gorgeous conversion and in some cases recharting of some parts of the design, especially to remove the European like 3-masted ships and the sort of colonial houses that are in the design, because it didn't make sense to have colonizer designs, boats and houses and things like that with a woman who is representing the indigenous community, and especially the missing and murdered indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people. So she made some fantastic changes. It was a very powerful piece overall, which made me think that I needed to redesign mine a little bit, and then I just never quite went forward with it. For me, my particular Dreaming Girl is not exactly, is not indigenous in the same way. I kind of envision my Dreaming Girl to be an Irish girl. A lot of my heritage is from Ireland. And so I kind of wanted to redesign some pieces to be more specific to my experiences in Ireland and my ancestry in Ireland. And then I just never really moved forward with that. For instance, I think I would like to replace at least one of the motifs with maybe a standing circle, standing stone circle, and maybe change the shape of the boats to be something more that fits more along the lines of the boats that the ancient Irish folks used to use. It would be nice. I can't talk. Like I'm tripping over my own lips. What the heck? I've been talking too much. But I wanted to do some research on the types of boats that the ancient Irish folks used to use, and kind of change the shape of the boats and the design, and just put some more Irish flair on it. And then I just hadn't gotten to it yet. So that's where we are. And now part of me is like, I could just go ahead and stitch it as it was designed. There's no reason not to. But I still kind of would like to make it more specific to me and my heritage, but we'll see. We'll see. It's still gorgeous, and when I pull it out, I love the way it looks. This fabric is Stitch Me. It is, oh actually this might be Mystic Fabrics. I think it's Lugana. Yeah, it's Lugana. I think this, yeah, okay, so this is Mystic Fabrics. It's the colorway Dreamy, and it's 32 count Lugana. Because The reason I'm confused is because I actually purchased a specific turquoise or teal color from Brandy at Stitch Me, and then ended up deciding that this was actually the color that I wanted. I already had this piece on hand. I purchased it for the unicorn tapestry, not the trans pride unicorn tapestry from Dee and Kari, but from the unicorn tapestry from Tiny Modernist, Cheryl at Tiny Modernist. So I'd actually gotten this for that, but I decided that this was the perfect piece for it, so I really like it. So yeah, we'll get back to that at some point. So that I started in May. That was when that stitch along started. Next is, no, I'm sorry, that was in February 4th I started that. In May I started this next piece. This is called Small Burbs. Sorry, I knocked the desk. This is called Small Burbs. This is a piece from Ink Circles that has small burbs on it. Oh, I'm holding it sideways, sorry. I think. Yes? Wow, I don't even know. I'm really not sure. This might be straight up and down. I don't have enough of it stitched to know what direction it's supposed to be. This was a piece of grab bag Lugana, I believe from Mystic Fabrics. It looks like it's probably a 28. Based on the thread coverage, I think it is. And I used threads from Hand Dyed by Rolanda and Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers. This I purchased from, I can't, what is it? They're no longer in business, so I suppose it doesn't matter that I can't remember their name. But it was a stitchy shop that also sold these really awesome frames. But it turns out that her dream was to be a psychologist, and she and she finished up her her master's or PhD or both, and had to close the business because she was only doing it as a side gig, and she got her dream gig. So, but I purchased that from her shop before it closed, and the same with this other needle minder down here. Be kind to your mind. I have a lot of needles on this project. More recently, I have started actually taking the needles off when I put a project down, and then just getting, I keep them sort of on needle minders behind me here, so that I don't end up with needle minders that get lost as I'm moving projects around. But yeah, so the only issue I have with this is that I feel like the threads are not popping as much as I would like on this fabric. So I don't know if I need to stitch more to see if I like it more, or if I need to pick a different fabric. And honestly, if I pick a different fabric, I might go 1/1 with it instead of 2/2. Because then it can be truly small birds. So that is that. And I'm really kicking myself for not having the pictures of stuff with the things as I'm showing it to you. But, yeah, sorry. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. Only 5 more. I hadn't realized this was going to be a marathon, or else I would have filmed it in parts. This piece is also a May start. This is, I thought when I purchased this that the Etsy shop I purchased it from was the designer. I have since discovered that the Etsy, well, first of all, the Etsy shop is no longer on Etsy. They have a separate website now, and theoretically, though it seems a little sketchy, theoretically, it's a conglomeration of multiple Russian artists who do cross-stitch designs. This particular artist is Alyssa Okeanis. So I'll refer to this by the artist's name because as far as I can tell, she is the original artist of the piece. But even if she is licensed to the person, or to the company that I purchased this from, that company now sells Harry Potter designs. So I won't be purchasing from that company anymore. Though I have noticed Alyssa's, or Lisa, her designs are available from, what is it, mybobbin.com as well. I haven't fully checked out mybobbin to see if they're also selling Harry Potter stuff, but it looks like she's either licensed on multiple sites or one or the other is stealing her stuff. But both of them, both websites are crediting this image to her. So she may be licensed through multiple sites. Though interestingly enough, a couple of her pieces I saw on an Etsy shop that is not related to either of those websites. So I may have to put in a report on Etsy, because I think that person, that particular Etsy shop has tons of different styles of designs, and I noticed that the pictures have sometimes different watermarks, and in the case of at least one image that was Alyssa's work, one of the images had the same watermark that one of the websites has on a photo for one of her things. So there's something hinky going on. I can't tell who is doing wrong in that situation. There's 3 different shops, one on Etsy, two on separate websites. The separate websites both attribute the images to Alyssa or Lisa. So they're probably on the up and up, and then the Etsy shop is probably the one stealing stuff, regardless. If you like this image, check out Alyssa Okinis, because I'm not going to direct you to a website that may or may not be selling stolen artwork. So, I think this piece is called Irises. All 3 places listed this. The original Etsy site I used, in addition to the 2 websites, all list this with like round cross-stitch iris or something like that. I'm going to call it Irises. So yeah. That was a lot of stuff to tell you. It's going to be really awesome. This is another one of those pieces. It's going to make a world of difference once I do the backstitch. It's going to be one of those fantastic watercolor looking pieces. And this actually went a lot faster than I thought it would, because I started on the 12th of May. And I think I worked on it for like a week or 2. I almost didn't want to put it down. I thought I might actually finish it in May, because it was just going so fast. In fact, I have the main motif, or the main flower, pretty much finished. So there's the iris here, there's a smaller iris over here, and then there's some leafage, foliage in the background and stuff. So I actually have this like a lot completed. I want to say probably over 50% completed. But yeah, I did this one because I love irises, but this is another piece that's sort of in honor of my mom. Her name was Iris. She loved irises. I also love irises, and then her name was Iris as well. So and I also did this in May because I always think of flowers in May, and I may use May as a flower motif month again in the future. So I just think it's fun. It's fun to stitch flowers. So that's that piece. I have giant piles of WIPs now. Let's see. The last piece I started in May, and this really doesn't look like anything yet. So this will be eventually Long I Have Waited by Christina Grandjean. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous piece that I purchased. This is probably the first giant full coverage piece that I ever purchased, and I purchased the mini version, which is still like 3 by 400 or something like that. You can't even tell what it is, but it's a gorgeous dragon sitting on a cliff, and it's going to be fabulous. But I think I might have 100 or 200 stitches in it. So you really can't tell what's going on there. But that is DMC. And it is, this is easy count or easy grid. I don't like the kind that has the pink grid. The pink grid is like 20 by 20 squares, and that fabric is super, super stiff. This is a Lugana fabric, and it's nice and soft, and the squares are 10 by 10s instead of 20 by 20, so this is why I use this kind. I'm pretty sure it's either easy count or easy grid, because I think the pink bordered stuff is called Magic Guide or Magic Grid. But yeah, I believe this is, it's either 25 or 28 count, I can't remember which. And this is yet another enamel pen that I have turned into a needle minder. This is from lookhuman.com. And that's my By Pride Dragon. They're awesome. I love my By Pride Dragon. But yeah. I don't know why I said it like that. I love that pen. So, yeah. So this is another full coverage piece. I'll be using this for full coverage fanatics as well. Pardon. Okay, so that was May 31st. June 1st, which, June is Pride Month, so I did all the rainbow things in June. Okay. I don't know whether this needle was on, I don't know, okay. No, I don't know. There's a piece of silk here. And there's a needle that I heard a clink, like a metallic clink. So I figured something popped from one needle to another needle. And I think this needle, or one magnet to another magnet. I'm just going to put this over here. Okay, so this is another ink circle piece. You may notice that I like ink circles a lot. Tracy Horner has some awesome designs. She does lots of symmetrical, like fantastically blended, shaded things. This is specifically a piece she did for Pride, for LGBTQIA plus rights and that sort of thing. I don't know when she originally released this. I think she may have released it originally as a free chart. But it is now available for $5 on her website, and I have the PDF version. And I've actually done a full conversion from the DMC that's called for to Dinky Dye's silks. And I primarily pulled the colors from the Twisted Rainbow sampler pack from the Dinky Dye sampler pack for the Northern Expressions Needlework Twisted Rainbow silk pack. Did that make sense? Words? I no longer understand what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm not a quarter of the way done, I don't think. Maybe 30%, because I think that there's a little ways farther to go before I'm really at the quarter mark. So this is it's going to be a square chart overall. I forget how big. I want to say like 120 by 120, something like that. So my outline here might actually be at the halfway point, but I haven't stitched the halfway point yet. So I started this June 1st for Pride Month because yay Pride, and I got so in love with it that I stuck with it for quite a while. And let's see. I know where this needle minder came from, but I'm not going to say. The fabric is Kathy Davidson at Dying for Cross Stitch, and I think this was like a random ice dye. I just thought it would be colorful, but also neutral enough that the rainbow would really stand out. And then, as I said, I'm using the Dinky Dye silks for that. So I really, really love this piece, and I've been wanting to go back to it ever since. Once I finish this, I will absolutely share my Dinky Dyes conversion in case you all would like to stitch this with Dinky Dyes. I love stitching with Dinky Dyes, and these colors are coming out so fantastically. I love it. So that is Relentless. And the fun thing about this is if you look closely, if you look at the full design, you can actually see like little male and female symbols all scattered throughout there. Like the male and the female symbols together. It's really cool. So that is that. Two more. Okay, speaking of Twisted Rainbow Sampler, this is the Twisted Rainbow Sampler. This is from Northern Expressions Needlework, sorry. Northern Expressions Needlework. That is the correct way to say that. I have gotten 3 colors down of the entire rainbow. is like a really cool. This is the specialty stitch version. So if I hold it closely, hopefully you can see there are cross stitches, but then there are sections that are actually specialty stitches. And at first I was thinking that maybe 32 count was a bad idea for this, but because it seemed like the stitches were way too jumbled, way too tight for the specialty stitches, but I actually really like the way that looks now that I've gotten used to it. It's very pretty. This fabric is a 32 count linen in Stonehenge from the Stitch Me, and it's got the dinky dyes, the called for dinky dyes silk pack, which I do sell in my Etsy shop, and actually I don't have it listed on the website, but I'm going to get it listed on the website soon. But you can definitely purchase it off of my Etsy shop. It's very popular. It's a gorgeous silk pack. It really is. And this needle minder is another one from Field Teacup. This is Lady Rainicorn from Adventure Time. She's my rainbow unicorn. Love her. Love her. Yeah, so yeah, this is another one. I need to get back on this one too. I'm holding all these up and I'm like, oh, I need to work on that one. WIP Parades are great for that. They get you re-energized for all your pieces. So that is Twisted Rainbow Sampler from Northern Expressions Needlework. That right there. And lastly, this is not my last start for the year, but it's the last piece I started that still needs to be finished, because I did 10 new starts and 10 finishes between September 1st and October 1st. So I started that one at the end of July, like 21st of July. This piece I started on Krampusnacht, which was December 5th. And this is Krampus Klein, which is the small chart that comes along with the Krampus sampler from Dee's 20 Stitches and Uncanny Kari. So Dee and Kari Nakin, who are a fabulous stitchy design duo, and they have some fabulous stuff already out, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do for the new year. Because I think, based on some posts that I've seen from Dee lately, I think that Dee did not realize how much they and Kari were going to be loved in the stitchy community. I think they grossly underestimated the amount of space that there, like the vacuous hole that there was for super cool new art and cross stitchiness in the community. And so I don't think they expected for the charts to blow up the way that they have. But it all started with Trans Pride Tapestry, which I plan to start very soon. It all started with that, and then there was the Hex Hotel and Three Little Hexes, and now there's Krampus, the Krampus Sampler and Krampus Klein. They're all fabulous. I own all of them. I have not started stitching any of the Halloween stuff. I will be stitching Trans Pride Tapestry soon. I've had it kitted up for ages, and I just haven't had a chance to start it. But I did start this on December 5th, and I'm about 40% of the way finished. So this is my second WIP Goes Raw for January, and my goal is to finish it. Hopefully in January, but certainly by the end of 2022. It's not real big. Pardon. It's, I want to say, less than 2,000 stitches. It's either around 1,500 or around 1,900 stitches overall. And as I said, I'm about 40% through. So, really, not that much to stitch. This fabric is, this is a 32 count Lugana, Opal Lugana from Fortnite Fabrics. I thought it was nice for this because it's got that little bit of like gray in it, so it gives it a bit of a darker cast. And I am using Dinky Dye Silks, colors that I have chosen myself instead of the called for colors. So that is my last start and also my last WIP for 2021. So we should have had 27. I stopped counting, but I counted my list multiple times. So that should be 27. As far as next year goes, I don't have, other than my January 1st start, which is Transparent Tapestry, I don't have any specific plans for new starts and or when I'm going to start them. I know there will be new starts next year. There will probably be tons of new starts next year. My hope, as I said earlier at the beginning, if you've been here this long, thank you so much. But as I said at the beginning, my hope is to finish at least as many or close to as many as I start for the year. So if I start 20 new things, I need to try to figure out 20 finishes. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, that's all my whips. That's all my whips, folks. That's all the whips that are fit to whip, as I think I said last year. But also I have to say, I did my WIP Parade with Rachel last year, and that was less strenuous than doing it all by myself is. But anyway, so that's all the whips I have for you. If you have stuck it out this long, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you anyway, but I especially appreciate you if you have watched this entire video. If there are any questions I haven't answered about specific details of any of these pieces, feel free to ask. As much as possible, I try to remember to tell you the type of fabric and the type of threads and the designer and all that sort of stuff, but if I missed anything, feel free. Also, as I said, I'm very concerned about supporting designers and working on pieces, working on the pieces and supporting designers who share similar values that I have. So if you have found any of the designers that I've mentioned to be problematic in some way, feel free to message me. You can message me privately on Instagram if you prefer, versus commenting here on YouTube. I'm happy to have discussions with you, and I'm happy to learn. I'm always open to learn, especially if something I'm doing is harmful or is contributing to things that are harmful, systems of oppression and things like that. If something I'm doing is contributing or is directly harmful, please let me know, because I want to correct it. I want to continuously learn and continuously get better and be a better human. So definitely let me know all those things. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I need to tell you? I don't think so. I think I just need to wrap this up and go get myself some food. And let this upload overnight, because it might take that long between processing and uploading. But anyway, so I hope you are having a fantastic New Year, or at least the best New Year that is available to you, New Year's Eve, if that's when you're watching this. If you're watching this later, then I hope it's the best day that is available to you. I hope that you're treating yourself well and that life is treating you well. And if it's not, make sure you take care of you. And yeah. So I guess that's it for 2021, folks. That is it. That is it. We are almost there, or might already be there by the time you see this. Okay, so one last time for 2021. Remember to stay hydrated. Remember to take all the meds that you need to take, and remember that you are enough. And I will see you in 2022, folks. Bye.